So maybe you've heard of Clubhouse so far, maybe you haven't, but I'm here to tell you what it is and why I'm bullish on Clubhouse. So if you haven't heard of Clubhouse at all yet, it's an audio hangouts app. Yep, so if you're familiar with apps like Discord, it's like Discord voice chats, but it's curated by the people you follow in the app. So when you open the app, you actually are presented with what Clubhouse users call the hallway. And the hallway is essentially just a list of the chats that are available to you based on the people you're following that you might be interested in, you might want to join in on. Now, you also probably may have heard that there are a lot of big names on Clubhouse right now. Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, both hung out on the platform, and that's true. They both recently were on the platform and signed up. But I'm here to tell you that them being on the platform is certainly not the main reason why I am bullish on the platform or why I think you should definitely consider joining it. So here's why I'm bullish on Clubhouse, and I'm going to break it down for you in a number of different reasons here. So first of all, Clubhouse is early to the game in this sense. There's not any major competition that they're facing, but that obviously is changing fast, as you would expect when you have a hot app, a startup, and people are taking notice of it, especially Zuckerberg, who has been famous for copying and trying to kill apps like Snap by the copy and kill method, which Facebook has been known for. It's one of their biggest, types of tactics that they use. Now, Twitter is working on a competitor in the space called Spaces, but really right now everyone's attention and focus is on Clubhouse. So that's where I think you're going to want to spend your time, especially in the early days. And considering Twitter doesn't even have a product that's really out there to the public yet, you have to join their beta list, but they don't let everyone on, so it's a very slow process to get in. So Clubhouse is where you got to be. Of course, you need an invite in order to get onto the platform, but if you want, you can definitely download the app and sign up, reserve your username, which I highly recommend. That way, when you do get an invite, you can join and log in right away. Now, here's the other really great thing about Clubhouse. There's so many interesting people on the app. They are everywhere you go. Any room you go into, you're guaranteed to meet someone who's really interesting. I've already met and connected with a ton of other tech YouTubers, other entrepreneurs. The community is without a doubt the best thing about this app. Now, with tremendous scale, I could see community management and moderating has to become at the forefront of something like this. But I think Clubhouse may be up for the task. They hold weekly town halls, which is great. So they have they're always taking in user feedback, also very good, and they're doing their best to build the best app that they can. So again, user base is very strong. It's a strong thing that Clubhouse has, and I highly recommend that if you're looking to meet other like-minded people, Clubhouse is a great way to do that because you can really curate your experience based on who you follow and what rooms you go into. There's that. So the UI and the UX is decent. It's basic, okay? It's a basic UI. It's a basic UX. I've heard that the design and color scheme kind of reminds people of early days of Basecamp. I never used that program, so I don't know for certain, but I've heard that. There are obviously other improvements that could be made to the app, without a doubt. I mean, there's a lot of UX things, user experience things, and just UI things also that they could improve on, that even things like Twitter Spaces has already. For example, like on Twitter Spaces, you can when you can react to what people are saying in real time using emotes. On Clubhouse, this is a perfect example. On Clubhouse, you currently have to tap the mute button if you're a speaker multiple times to show that you're clapping. That in Clubhouse land, that's called clapping. Which is kind of funny if you think about it. You're like smashing that mute button. And by the way, it's not a great experience when you have to tap on the mute button because it's literally, you can't see it here, but it's literally on the bottom of the screen, like right where that is. And you just have to keep tapping it over and over again in order to show that you're supporting what they're saying. So it's not the greatest experience. There can be things that can be improved along the way, but right now in the early days when things are really looking like a rocket ship and just going up, I don't think they care. And really they don't have to care that much about that. Those kind of small UX things, obviously they would make huge, if they made huge changes like to that experience, it would be positive. But that could be done after. It doesn't have to be done now. So another reason why I really think that Clubhouse is pretty good. Now, Clubhouse is nice because the audio is pretty good. It's not the best audio. In fact, I think Twitter Spaces may have them beat on audio right now. There are even other services out there like Capiche FM, which are doing geared more towards podcasting and radio, and their audio is even better. But Clubhouse does, again, this is another nice to have better audio. In the current state of what Clubhouse is doing, which is focusing on growth, it doesn't matter so much as long as they got the growth that they can turn on the features, they can turn on the better UI, and people will love it. So that's another good thing to make note of. All right, moving on. Number 5, what else is good about Clubhouse? So here's another thing I like about Clubhouse, and this is why I think that even after the pandemic, I think that that Clubhouse has a chance here, because you can do work and listen on Clubhouse at the same time. It doesn't require the same amount of attention that watching a video does. It's more like listening to a podcast. And you can even use your phone doing other things while you're in a Clubhouse room. And it's a good experience. You just keep listening, and there's, you don't have to worry about anything unless you're on stage, is what they call it. It means if you have the ability to speak in a room, if the moderators bring you up on stage, then you just keep yourself muted and you're perfectly fine. You don't have to, you can listen in and contribute when you want. And if you're just in the audience, it's just like mindless. You just listen. It's like listening to a podcast. You can't do anything. You're just listening. So it's a really nice experience in that front. Number 6, here we go. So no DMs. That's another big thing that I've heard people kind of talk about that they like. I don't know if Clubhouse is ever going to build a messaging system. If they do, I guess that would be nice, a nice little feature. But at the current moment, you can link your Instagram and your Twitter to your profile, and people message you on those platforms. In a way, it's actually better because then you're able to, get people to look at your other profiles, which is great for brand building and, building personal brand. So I do like that, but DMs, not a huge deal for me right now. Again, it's one of those features that if they add, great, turn it on, people will love it. So I also think that another really nice thing about Clubhouse is, and this is why it's different than like other social platforms out there, right? When you are talking, like I'm talking right now on this podcast, you can hear the passion in my voice, right? You hear how interested I am in what they're building and why I'm excited about it. And you can do the same thing when people are talking on Clubhouse. You totally get the feel for what they feel. You can understand, when someone's kind of down in the dumps because they're like, I don't really want to talk about it right like this right now. It's, you know what I mean? Or if they're really happy and they're like, yeah, this is great and this is amazing. You can totally tell. And that, I think, just adds another kind of dimension to the whole thing, the whole experience, which I really like. I really like the fact that you can hear people's thoughts and how they feel about something when they're talking, whereas you can't get that from a tweet or a status update on Facebook. You just can't. Another thing about Clubhouse that's great, again, this is another potential feature that they could turn on, but right now it's a perk that doesn't exist. And there's no explore page. There's no way. There's a page that you can find other clubs and find users and things like that, but there's really no like algorithmic explore page that you would find on like Instagram, for example. That doesn't exist on Clubhouse. And I think I like that right now because it makes everything much more organic. It makes it just makes the discovery process more organic. It makes who you meet more organic. It just feels better. It just has that better feel to it. And so I think that's a really great feature. Lack of feature, I should say. I don't know what they have plans for with that, but I don't know if I would explore that too much. I think curating your hallway based on people who are you're following is really the key here because you want to find great content based on the people you follow. Now, I guess they could do a similar thing with an explore page. I don't know how that would look, but But yeah, I really think that it's an important thing that they don't kind of make everything overly algorithmic right now. So another really nice thing about Clubhouse, oh man, there's just, the list is going on and on. I have a bunch here. I'll hopefully get to them all. No, I'm just kidding. Of course I'm gonna get to them all. So one of the other things that on the list here that I have here, this is number, what is it? 10. Or actually, I don't really recall. It's like 10. Let's just go with 10. So there's no pressure to talk in Clubhouse. As I mentioned, when you join a room, you're not automatically, activating your microphone, which is a misconception a lot of people have when they join Clubhouse, or what you worry about when you join a voice channel. It's like, oh my God, people are going to hear me as soon as I join. I'm just going to it's going to be so loud and everyone's going to turn and be like, what's going on? That's not the case. When you first enter a Clubhouse room, unless you're the creator of it, you join in the audience, and then you can raise your hand if you want to say something, and they'll bring you up to the stage if that, depending on the size of the room. And from there, you can then speak to the other people on the stage, or, where you can do a whole bunch of things. You can pitch, you can just meet people, just have conversations, whatever you want. It depends on the room. So that's one of the other great things. But there's no pressure in Clubhouse, is what I'm getting at, is there's no pressure in Clubhouse to go on stage. You don't have to. It's perfectly okay if you want to sit in the audience and just be like, I'm just going to listen. No one's going to make fun of you. No one's going to yell at you. And if they do, that's a pretty crappy room, and just leave. You'll just peace out, and you'll go find a better room. So, and speaking of peacing out, there is a really great feature in Clubhouse. It's basically when you leave a room, there's just a peace sign. There's an icon that looks like that, and you tap it, and it's called Leave Quietly. And all that means is that you just peace out on your own terms. You don't have to tell anybody. You don't have to say anything. You don't have to be like, oh guys, I gotta go, unless you want to. But you can just peace out, and that's perfectly fine. It's built into that community, that culture of Clubhouse, that it's okay to bounce around from room to room if you want and listen in on what different people are saying. That's totally cool. So another thing, going back though to just not talking about, to not having the same pressures as other kind of, Zoom calls or things like that. There's no video. You don't have to show your face. You can, you have a profile picture. You don't. There's nothing there that kind of, you don't have to present yourself in any way. And I think that really helps make people feel more comfortable, because they're just talking in the comfort of their own home or wherever they may be, driving, walking. You just kind of, you're in your own environment, and you feel good about, you feel good about it. So you just get on there and you talk, and it's a better experience overall. Now, there are other benefits to Clubhouse that include things like, if you're an entrepreneur, you're looking to raise money, it's a great place to learn how to pitch. There are so many great rooms on Clubhouse that are all about helping people craft their pitches, tweak their pitches, work their pitches out, so they can, when they get in front of an investor, they can get the best possible pitch out there and hopefully raise some money, because we all know how difficult that is, right? So it's really tough. And there are a lot of really great people, successful entrepreneurs, other people who have been there, done that, who are helping by sharing their advice and their thoughts with people on that front. So if you want, there's totally rooms for that. There's also just rooms where you can get tips and advice on podcasting, on YouTube, on TikTok, social media, anything. There's so many rooms out there. There's even rooms for just chilling and meeting other people who are super cool, and I've done that too. So I really like the fact that the Clubhouse is a great networking tool. I think I've been on it now for about 2 to 3 weeks, and I can say I've gotten more for value from the platform in that time than I've gotten from Twitter in that time, in the same amount of time, and it's still early days. So there's still so much that can be done. And I think that's pretty impressive. The last two things I want to talk about in terms of the bull case for why I think Clubhouse is the next big thing. And I understand that these big rooms where there are millionaires and people kind of coming in and talking and sharing insights and things that they learned in the general business sense and connecting with people. And there are rooms like that, and sometimes they're all right to listen to. Most of the time, I don't really go in those rooms. I found this: the small rooms on Clubhouse are the best rooms on Clubhouse, without a doubt. Small rooms are the best rooms, and why is that? There are less people. You get to talk more. You get to meet other people and really explain. Talk about what you're working on and find other people who are working on similar things. Now, I think small rooms on Clubhouse are going to be super critical to Clubhouse's success. Sure, yes, there's going to be those big rooms where they get the Elon Musks and the Mark Zuckerbergs and other guys on there. And yeah, those are going to attract thousands and thousands, of people each time. But it's the smaller rooms, the rooms that are like, under 30 people around or less, maybe even less, maybe like 5-10 people, maybe, those are the best rooms, the rooms where I get the most value. In fact, there was one room on Clubhouse where I was just me and one other guy, and we connected and we were just talking. And he is an artist. His name's Zach. He's a great guy, and he's building a great business that he's building through his art, where he uses blowtorches to create art. It's the coolest thing I've ever seen. But yeah, so like I wouldn't be able to meet people like that without Clubhouse, especially these days. It's so difficult with the pandemic. So the reason I'm bullish on Clubhouse, and there's so many reasons as I already listed, but it really comes down to, I think at the end of the day, we need a more authentic form of communication on social. This provides that. I do think that after the pandemic, usage, I'm really interested to see what happens to usage. Will it decline? Will it go up? Will it stay the same? It might decline when people are on different, on the weekends, but maybe not. Maybe it won't. I can't tell for certain yet. I haven't been on long enough to know, but I have seen people talk about Clubhouse fatigue, but I just don't know that that's an actual thing. I haven't experienced it yet. That being said, it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. So, and it's interesting that I bring this up and I'm talking about this kind of, bear cases here, because I'm also planning a future episode of Techie Bites where I'm going to have on a guy named Nate Elliott. He's currently working at content for Billbox, a new startup that's launching this year. And we're going to be talking about the bear case for Clubhouse and why Clubhouse is not the future. So we're going to have this episode, which is why I think Clubhouse is the future. And then we're going to have another episode where we're going to have Nate Elliott on, where we're talking about why we are not so hot on Clubhouse. Stay tuned for that.